Joining us on Old Mutual's World of Endurance for this, the Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon, Transvaal and Springbok canoeist who finished third this year, Neil Evans. Neil has completed 7 Dusis. That makes him a Dusi rat, a coveted title indeed. Neil, decisions to be made regarding the route to take and whether to run or paddle. What is your decision likely to be influenced by?
It comes down to the water level. As you can see, there have been big floods there. The river's pretty high, which is nice. So the longer we paddle, the better.
Your preference basically being for paddling versus running and the amount of traffic in your part of the field?
Being more of a paddler, indeed. It's whether the runners can get a gap or not on the notorious Campbell's Portage.
Right, the strategy on day one?
Day one, the stronger paddlers will try get a gap so that by the end of the day, the deficit to the runners will be reduced by as little as possible.
Traffic jams apparently occur at certain points in the race. How do you actually handle those?
You take it one by one. Here's the Ernie P.S. Weir, myself, Mark Perro, Oscar Chalupsi going over. No real problems here, and away we went.
So you have to be patient at the Ernie P.S. Weir, take your turn and shoot it. It's very, very slow.
Yes, you can't afford to make any mistakes. If you swim, break your boat here, that's you out of the race. Here we see Kevin White coming through. His paddling was very strong this year, but it was his running that made all the difference.
As far as Kevin White is concerned, he's spent a lot of time training, hasn't he? He's been abroad.
Yes, I believe he even went to the foothills of the Himalayas up to the base camp of Mount Everest.
And as we can see, not all plain sailing, Neil. You obviously need a sense of humour as well as a lot of determination, don't you?
Yes, those guys taking a spill there at a slight angle as they entered the stopper, and over they went.
Of course, the competitors are warned that the Dusi Marathon is raced over dangerous terrain, and by entering the race, competitors are exposing themselves to certain risks. That's not the Swanee Braai, but it is some sort of a contraption that obviously works, and that's also adding to part of the fun, the spectators enjoying themselves. And here we approach the commercial weir. Can you elaborate on this weir for us? What's it like?
Mark Perro's over first, followed by the rest of us. He gets stuck, and the rest of us come through. It's pretty close there. It's a tight line that.
So it can be portage left or right, and it can be jumped as well. What do you prefer, Neil?
Shooting it. It's a lot quicker.
You've also got to be very fit, Neil, in terms of your training. I can see here there's already strategies taking place. The guys are starting to put the screws on.
Edmonds is running very well there. He's already got 2 minutes on myself. Kevin White has a 4-minute lead at the moment over Edmonds. Their running has definitely paid off here. Here we see the guys dragging down after Campbell's checkpoint. It saves on the shoulders, and they're able to make up time.
Certainly looking very, very green after all the heavy rains, and it must have been a pleasure, in fact, you having completed 7 already, to have competed in these kind of conditions with the Dusi very, very buoyant.
Conditions were excellent this year. A medium level, overcast weather. We couldn't have asked for more.
Would you say it's one of your best Dusi marathons that you've competed in?
Yes, conditions were ideal for both runners and paddlers alike.
So after the run of some 1 hour, it's back into the water. You're probably pretty knackered then. Is it quite a relief to get back into the boat and to get going again?
Yes, one can have some juice, replenish oneself, and rest those weary legs. Here we have Mission Rapid. Edmonds is now 4 minutes behind White and trying to close the gap there.
And that's a Dusi rat. And Mission Rapid, of course, is where the line is the same in a low or high river.
That's right.
You prefer it in the high river?
Without a doubt, you can get through a lot easier and not damage your boat.
Neil, what's it like paddling around cabbage trees? Is it quite nice, especially now that the water is pretty buoyant?
It's not really an option. It's a lot quicker to run. Here we have White. He's going very strong. It's a steep hill. It's hard to show it on the camera. And here comes Edmonds. He's now 4.5 minutes behind. White's running in a league of his own, and he's constantly opening up the gap between the two of them.
Seconding is vitally important in this event. The competitors must ensure, though, that their seconds do comply with the rules, or they might risk disqualification. And seconding is permitted from motorcycles only on the second day. And that's a beautiful view then as the end of the first day approaches. A lot of these paddlers pretty wary at this stage, Neil. And there's the man that nobody's been able to catch today, Kevin White. He has a commanding lead, 6.5 minutes over second place John Edmonds. His time for the first leg, 3:01:33. Kevin White, the reigning champion, will be very, very happy with his time, 6.5 minutes ahead. and that's John Edmonds in second position. John Edmonds has won the Dusi Canoe Marathon on numerous occasions, and he's looking very relaxed. A lot of experience has John Edmonds. In fact, he's won it 4 times. He'll be pondering, though, at the leader after the first stage, Kevin White, with a substantial lead of 6.5 minutes, quite a comfortable cushion. And there's Neil Evans, the Transvaal and Springbok canoeist, looking very, very comfortable, close behind second-placed Edmonds. And it would seem as if there's no stopping the reigning champion, Kevin White. He's very, very proud of his position at the moment after the first stage.
Well, I managed to slowly catch Mark Perro, Neil Evans and Wayne Volek, who were the leaders at that stage. And I think because they were tussling with one another, they kept having to fall back and they sort of slow down. It's quite slow to paddle in a group of guys in a small channel. So I slowly started catching them. And I think they must have made a mistake somewhere in the sewerage farm, because I took my usual portage, the portage that most of the guys take, and I didn't see them again after that.
I think in this water, it's almost impossible to catch up that sort of distance on the water. And Neil might be able to do something like that on the dam, but when the water's flowing fast, it's very hard to catch up.
Day 2 of this marathon affair, and no doubt, Neil, you'll have to give priority to the section from the second saddle to Ngomeni.
Yes, the slide and Ibis Point, very challenging rapids. Most people will portage them.
And looking good, the defending champion Kevin White. He has that commanding lead. Do you think he's unstoppable?
Yes, very strong. If he plays his cards right and he doesn't make any mistakes, by the time he gets to the dam, I'm sure that he wouldn't have lost any time and he'll be able to maintain that advantage he's got.
An incredible psychological lead to have after day 1. A commanding lead, in fact. How did you in fact feel, Neil, psychologically, having that commanding lead over the rest of the field? Did you believe that you could catch him?
Well, the race is never over until the finish line. With all those tricky rapids ahead, one can never rule out the possibility of catching him up. But if he played it safe, it was a pretty daunting task.
Looks like you could be confronted with quite a congestion problem here.
Yes, this is the first batch going off. The water has dropped a little bit overnight, but it's still sufficient to get through. Kevin's running very strong here on the saddles and increasing his lead consistently.
So the middle path takes you to the pipeline bridge and the left path will take you upstream of the bridge, is that right?
Yes, that's right, but most people take the right-hand route. It's a lot quicker. Here we see Evans paddling through after the portage and the leading mixed doubles coming through.
Do you have much time to actually hold a conversation whilst you paddle?
Only amongst your fellow paddlers, but no, not really.
It's more concentration.
Yes.
Quite a bit of congestion there. It looks like Gauteng in peak hour.
This is at the put-in after the saddles. As you can see, the river fairly low now, most of the water having washed through overnight.
And that's the first lady through, Wendy Manton, following close on the heels of her boyfriend and mentor, race leader Kevin White, and defending champion. Things not going so well though for Wendy today.
A slight slip of concentration there, and she'll most probably lose up to 2 minutes, which is very aggravating. And to add to it, a further complication there.
Those are pretty tricky situations, aren't they, Neil? And obviously it's quite annoying for some of the guys who want to get through, but that's what it's all about. You have to wait.
Yes, race tactics, very vital on a race like this. Here we see Kevin paddling very strongly and opening up that gap. He's most probably 10 minutes ahead at the moment.
My goodness, they talk about the loneliness of the long-distance runner. How about the loneliness of the long-distance canoeist? What do you think is going through his mind now?
Kevin would have been given splits along the route, and he would have known that his gap was increasing the whole time, making him feel very confident.
Convivial surroundings in the Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon. After Ngomeni Hill, you've got 3 rapids, but it certainly is nice to see that lovely scenery of the Valley of 1,000 Hills.
Here's the Putum at the bottom of Ngomeni Portage, and beneath that, Gumtree, Tombi and Hippo Rapids, 3 very challenging rapids. If you break there, that's you out of the race.
So here you can either portage on the left and put in below Tombi or shoot Gumtree. What do you prefer?
To shoot, you save time. The problem is whether you get through or not. Here's a guy having a bit of trouble through Tombi. Very tricky rapid, quite naughty.
Gumtree can also be tricky, and Tombi varies from very tricky to downright dangerous.
Inchamonfoni, the lady in second position at the moment from Wits Canoe Club. and John Edmonds on the dam, paddling through the dead trees, taking the shortest route.
All attention now focused on the leader after day 2. That, of course, is the reigning champion, Kevin White. He now has a commanding 9-minute lead over John Edmonds. Day 3 of the grueling Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon, the shortest and most enjoyable day of the race, but tactics here vitally important.
Today I'm just going to take it really easy, paddle hard where I can, like on the dam and the flat water into Durban, and just not take any chances at all and just push hard over Burma Road.
Well, we're going to have quite good conditions, I'm sure. It's pretty good cloud cover, and hopefully myself I'll be able to maintain my 9th position and finish in the golds.
That's where the race is going to be today. Gavin, Tar, Neil, Evans and myself all within 20 seconds. So we'll all get together on the dam, and then I think it'll be a cat and mouse game waiting to see who's going to make a mistake, then the others will take off. And yeah, it's a really tight race today.
I think it's just going to be a matter of sharing the work until the dam wall, and then once we're on the river, it'll be keeping in touch, and then Burma takeout is from Burma. I think going up the hill is going to be quite a hard tussle, and I think the time that's going to be made is going to be made going up the hill.
It'll all depend on Burma. Both John and Gavin, excellent runners. If they can get a gap on me on the run, it's a case of whether I can catch them again afterwards. So it'll be a good tussle.
The confident-sounding Neil Evans. This is a great stage of the race, isn't it just?
Yes, here the second bunch on the dam as we come up to the takeout to portage around the dam wall.
So you're guaranteed good water here?
We've been fortunate. Umgani Water Board has released 15 cubics of water, which allows for fantastic paddling beneath the dam. This is the takeout. It's just a short 1 kilometer portage back into the water. The water cold and fresh, having been released from the bottom of the dam, which is different to the first 2 days, which is dirty and warm water.
They say shooting tops from the top is not a good idea because there's no clear line down the rapid, and it's a matter of luck, is it, if you get down in one piece?
That's right. There's Edmonds going through. It's very tricky. Most people portage right to the bottom and then get in. Here we have Tar and Edmonds in 2nd and 3rd place respectively.
Well, the last big decision to make is whether to paddle or portage Burma Road, and for the defending champion and leader Kevin White, he's decided that he's in fact going to run it. And some may argue that the portage is for massacres and mountain goats, but it's usually a lot faster.
Yes, to paddle around will take most probably 34 or 35 minutes, whereas to run over, like White is doing here, will only take him 29 minutes. So for those running over, if you can do it within the half-hour parameter, then you're still in contention. Here we have Tar being seconded.
Tar, the dark horse of the Natal herd. John Edmonds has 4 victories to his name. He's got off to a flying start on race day. John making up good time on the downhill.
Where's Eddie's? Behind you, right behind you.
And tactics, of course, very, very important here. Here we see Edmonds catching Neil Evans. And there's Kevin White looking strong, the defending champion. He remains the firm favourite to win the Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon. Tar lying second with a 2.5 minute lead over Edmonds, and Evans over Burma. And still quite a long way to go. Only one route to follow, of course, though. Just look at those reeds encroaching on the river.
Yeah, John and I are trying to catch up on Gavin Tar. We're trying to work together and close that deficit that we lost whilst running over Burma Road.
And a little disappointing to note that you in fact can't catch Kevin now. He's well in front, and that's a wonderful sight indeed, albeit from a helicopter. It must be wonderful approaching the finish into Durban, and just look at the turnout there. Nice to see such a good turnout for this Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon. And Kevin White in that unassailable position, victorious, and a good time as well, Neil.
Yes, 2 hours 35, making a total of 8 hours 43 for the day. A very fine finish, although most probably half an hour behind Edmonds' record that he set in 1991. Gavin Carr coming through in second position, very good effort.
Very good effort indeed from yourself, Neil Evans, and close on your heels, the 4 times winner, John Edmonds. Magnificent feat, though, for the winner of the 1995 Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon, a hat-trick for Kevin White.
Oh, I just feel very relaxed and just so comfortable at the moment. It's really a lovely feeling.
Once again, yet another truly memorable Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon, won for the 3rd time by Kevin White, followed by Tar, Evans, Edmonds and Elliker. The First Lady home, Anchaman Froney. She beat Wendy Manton.
The Dusi Canoe Marathon was brought to you by Panasonic Packs. The quest for zero